When I was in 4th grade, I met my best friend, Emily Baker, or as I knew her at the time, EG. After months of wondering, my curiosity finally pushed me to ask her what EG stood for. She simply explained that it was short for Emily Grace, and followed by asking me if I had any nicknames. I paused, and I thought hard, but the truth was, I didn't have any, except one that was given to me in jest. I responded timidly, telling her that some of the kids at school call me a coconut because I'm white on the inside and brown on the outside. We both laughed at this awkward label I'd been given. It sounded silly and frankly meant nothing to me at this time, but looking back, I realized how much this nickname reflected the way I was already being shaped by the world around me. Even at the age of 10, it was just a constant reminder that I was already being expected to fit into boxes, not only of race, but of identity and belonging. This indefinite pressure to conform that had been given to me by society. The pressure to assimilate for children of immigrant parents is heightened by language barriers, an underlying desire to fit in, and racial stereotypes, and amplified even further by the widespread presence of social media, which perpetuates a cycle where being authentic is often overshadowed by the need to conform, ultimately leading to dissonance between one's cultural heritage and societal norms. Hi, my name is Shikha Kocherlakota, and as a child of immigrant parents, I know firsthand what this is like. Cultural assimilation is defined as the process in which a minority group or culture comes to resemble society's dominant group by fitting the beliefs, behaviors, and values. Immigrants as a whole often feel pressure to adapt to this dominant culture in order to gain full social integration, which only heightens the pressure for their children as they now have to figure out how to navigate their parents' cultural expectations along with trying to fit into the culture of the country in which they live in. Children of immigrant parents have long faced pressure to assimilate for social mobility, but this is often at the expense of their cultural identity. Platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube have only intensified this by promoting an image on mainstream culture falsely associating assimilation with success, which may clash with their parents' traditional values. Social media's toxic influence not only erodes cultural identity, but also harms mental and emotional well-being, making it critical to address these pressures while we can. Children of immigrant parents in the US often face significant pressures related to language, such as serving as language brokers for their parents, or someone who bridges cultural gaps and language barriers. Being a language broker is more common than you might think. In fact, I didn't even realize that my best friend of 5 years was one for her parents until I interviewed her about 3 weeks ago for this TED Talk. The Migration Policy Institute states that 1 out of every 5 children of immigrant parents in the US serve as translators for their parents. But this goes beyond just communication. Over time, this constant exposure to the dominant culture and language leads to them internalizing aspects of American culture while also dismissing their parents' values. The National Institute of Child Health and Human Development states that language brokering also causes a shift in familial power dynamics to favor Western norms over traditional ones. For example, this is when children have more authority or power over their parents, but this is contrary to many other cultures where parents remain the dominant figures. For immigrant children, this contrast can be confusing, especially when they see TV shows or social media influencers portraying children who challenge or disrespect their parents. Let's be honest, I think we've all seen those TV shows where kids in American families act like brats. Show of hands, who here has seen Ginny in Georgia? All right, I think we can all attest that Ginny is a handful, but portrayals like these lead young people to think that such a power shift is not only acceptable, but also desirable. But could you blame them? How could you blame them when this is the media that they're being exposed to? This shift is becoming even more pronounced with the rise of child influencers in America who are not only gaining leverage over their families, but also financial power. This development can make children of immigrant parents feel pressured to adopt Western norms, potentially further eroding this traditional family hierarchy that most of their parents have worked so hard to preserve. A University of Southern California case study states that language is not just a tool for communication, but a marker of your belonging in both your community and the larger society. While language brokering focuses on complete fluency in their parents' language, let's talk about the other side of this, language attrition. This is when children lose complete proficiency in their heritage language. Unfortunately, this is a reality that I know all too well. While my whole family can speak our native tongue, I can hardly string together more than 5 words, which honestly feels embarrassing at times. The International Journal of Bilingual Education Bilingualism states that children can lose up to 80% of their heritage language in just one generation. This is because they prioritize mastering the dominant language in order to gain full social integration. Additionally, social media, with its rapid spread of trends and references, only places additional pressure on these children of immigrants to fit in. Children struggling with language barriers will find it difficult to keep up with social media references, memes, slang, and trends. And influencers who gain popularity by speaking in slang or sharing content that relies on a deep understanding of the primary language along with cultural context, without knowing the language behind these trends, children of immigrant parents will likely feel left out as they struggle to understand and engage. As language becomes a key to belonging, it also furthers this barrier to social integration. All right, I know I've probably said this a million times already, but just bear with me. Children of immigrant parents often find themselves balancing the norms of their cultural heritage along with the broader world around them. But this internal conflict is not only affected by social factors, it also has biological ones. For example, a hormone called oxytocin plays a key role in social bonding and trust, while a part of our brain called the amygdala triggers fear and anxiety when it senses social rejection. This being said, our brains are literally wired to seek belonging. This need for conformity by promoting unrealistic standards and showcased on social media leads children of immigrants to alter themselves or hide aspects of their identity in order to avoid standing out in school. This constant comparison to others leads to isolation, especially when they feel like they don't fit this ideal mold of perfect that they see on social media. A Pew Research Center study shows that 70% of teens feel the need to alter the way they look or act in order to fit in with trends that they see on social media. For children of immigrant parents, this only heightens this internal conflict that they're already struggling with. Lastly, my parents, who beat most typical Indian parent stereotypes, have never asked me about my grades. Yet my whole life, school has been the top priority. I'd honestly say PowerSchool is my most used app. This pressure to succeed both academically and professionally among second-generation immigrant youth can be linked to the model minority myth, which was originated in 1966 by William Peterson. Harvard Law defines this as framing Asian Americans as inherently successful due to academic and professional societal achievements. Now expanded to other immigrant groups, it's created unrealistic expectations where in immigrant families where academic success isn't even a central priority, these unrealistic expectations still stay. Additionally, the stereotype that these communities have quick assimilation habits or superior work ethics places additional pressure on these children of immigrants and pushes them to conform to societal standards of success, often favoring individualistic values over collective ones. Additionally, the stereotype of strict immigrant parents only intensifies this issue by ignoring the flexibility that many of these immigrant families embrace. The National Institute of Health shows that there's a high correlation between academic pressures and mental health struggles among second-generation immigrant youth, with over 20% of them reporting anxiety and depression due to these unrealistic expectations. This is only enhanced on social media when users are flooded with constant images of perfect academic achievements or career milestones and overall material success. This creates a damaging narrative that if they don't achieve the same level of success, they failed. Additionally, this distorted representation pushes second-generation youth to abandon cultural values or family unity in order of the success-driven mainstream American society. Rather than feeling empowered by their cultural identity, they just view it as an obstacle to fitting in. Okay, I know I've just thrown a lot at you, but here's the good news. We're not stuck here. Due to the ongoing conflict between staying true to cultural roots and embracing the broader world around them, it's imperative that we find a balance between both of these. Parents play a central part in this by creating an environment where both cultures can comfortably coexist and children can explore their heritage with pride while also feeling confident in their ability to blend into society. Ultimately, social media, therefore, emphasizing social media literacy is an important part of this because when children see it Social media and mainstream media often reveals a one-dimensional, stereotypical portrayal of immigrant experiences, which often differ from the experiences that immigrant children are actually having. Therefore, social media literacy is crucial to helping children understand content and its impact. A 2020 study from the Digital Literacy Project found that 82% of teens couldn't identify misinformation on the internet, and a 2021 study by the Providence Digital Commons confirmed that only 20% of teens felt very confident in their ability to identify fake news. Therefore, helping children understand content and its impact will help them make informed decisions on how much they actually let social media shape their sense of self. Ultimately, the pressure to assimilate while preserving one's traditions and values is a struggle that many immigrant children face. Social media plays a crucial role in intensifying this, but by understanding language challenges, cultural expectations, and stereotypes, we can better help immigrant youth in navigating this. Growing up, I was constantly caught in the middle of two worlds. I was too brown to be fully white, but too white to fully belong to my Indian heritage. I was trying to navigate a world that often seemed to decide where I belonged before I'd even had the chance to figure it out for myself. I distanced myself from my language, embarrassed to speak my language or bring my food to school. But today, I'm proud of both sides of my identity. I now know that my sense of belonging isn't about fitting into predefined standards, but it's about embracing who I am, both cultures included. My experience is one that's shared by many immigrant children all around the world, but within this conflict, we can find something powerful, a place to honor both worlds. Thank you.